Alright guys, I am sorry, but this will not be the epic, dramatic chapter I had promised it would be. This one is going to take a little too long, so that'll have to wait for the next one. But this one won't be too bad, so here we go. Crystal shook her head. She really had to stop poking her nose into other people's business. Crystal, is that you? Crystal turned around to the unfamiliar voice and spotted a dog walking towards her, waving merrily. He had a nice face and kind eyes, but Crystal had never seen the man before. He reached over and took her hand in his, still smiling. Wow, you're just as pretty as Fox described. Crystal felt her cheeks grow pink under her fur. She meant to say thank you, but all she could muster was,
I'm sorry, but I don't think I've had the pleasure.
The gray dog nodded. Bill Gray, head pilot of the Cornerian Flight Academy. I was really hoping I'd get to meet you here. I just have so many questions. Crystal thought she could recall Fox talking about a childhood friend of his when she had first joined the team.
Of course,
Crystal replied.
I'd be happy to give you clarity.
Bill grinned. Nice accent, he complimented her. They talked for a while, mostly about Crystal since Bill would not stop firing questions at her, such as about her home planet, how she and Fox met, the Aperoid mission, and how long it took Crystal to master an Arwing.
I am still learning,
Crystal admitted as Bill sipped his drink.
Most of the year before the invasion consisted of hard training. It was well worth it in the end, but I still have years and years of information to learn.
Bill nodded. Before the conversation had time to wrap up, there was a tinkling sound of someone tapping a glass, calling for attention. The voices in the room died down as General Pepper stood in front with his glass held high. Good evening, he said in his gruff, booming voice. I will ask everyone to take their seats at this time. Bill and Crystal shook hands one last time before the dog rushed off to join his party. Crystal felt temporarily lost in the midst of animals she had never seen before, desperately searching for a familiar face. Hey, Bimbo, we're over here! Crystal turned around and was relieved to see Falco calling out to her from a table close by, even if his greeting was a bit rude. Everyone else seemed to be seated already, so she quickly took her seat beside Fox. Now that we are all settled in, let us not waste any more time and get right down to business, the general said. First, I would like to make a toast to all of you. Without the bravery and chivalry of each and every one of you here, we would not be here tonight. Thank you. There was applause. General Pepper waved his hands for silence. He was never one to waste time, so it was guaranteed that the speeches would not take more than a few minutes. All right, yes, that's enough of that now. Before we enjoy our food and the festivities, I have one more thanks to give. Of course, we would not have won this war if it was not for all of you, but one band of soldiers in particular risked life and limb to bring freedom to all of us here, and the entirety of the galaxy. The Lilat system is indebted to this team, and if it was not for them, the Aperoids may have destroyed everything and everyone we hold dear. Friends, I would like you all to give a hearty welcome to the legendary Starfox team. Thunderous applause greeted the team as they stood up from their table and nodded to the crowd politely. Crystal stole a glance at Fox, smiling, but there was no trace of expression on his face as he waved to the photographer and the rest of the room. Crystal put this out of her mind, however, because she found it very difficult to feel unhappy at this moment. Nearly everyone in the room was wearing huge smiles on their faces, and she could sense the excitement and enthusiasm like an aura filling up every corner of the room. It flooded her body to the tip of her tail, and she was happy despite the nagging feeling at the back of her head. Dinner was delicious, and the atmosphere felt wonderful to Crystal's senses. She was having a marvelous time greeting familiar and unfamiliar faces, but she was feeling most at home when she finally caught sight of Lucy Hare. The rabbit raced from across the room to greet the blue vixen, and they hugged tightly, grinning to beat the band.
It is so good to see you again, my friend,
Crystal said genuinely, grasping Lucy's hands tightly.
Same,
The rabbit replied, flashing a smile. A familiar feeling welled up in Crystal's chest, and she found herself frowning slightly.
That's strange. I feel as though I have lived this moment before.
She thought hard, but all she was able to remember was a flash of white fur tinted with red. Lucy seemed to have noticed Crystal's peculiar expression, and she waved a hand in front of her friend's face.
Chris? You okay?
The blue vixen shook her head once and replaced her frown with a smile.
Oh, yes. I was just trying to remember something.
Lucy nodded.
Deja vu moment. I had one of those earlier when I saw Falco over by the buffet table.
The rabbit glanced over at Falco Lombardi, who was chatting with Bill Gray. She sighed.
I remembered how hot he was.
She said dreamily.
I just love bad boys.
Crystal could not help but laugh, imagining a grumpy, immature bird like Falco dating a vivacious, happy rabbit, and Peppy's daughter nonetheless. Lucy wagged her finger playfully.
It's never a bad thing to dream, Miss Crystal.
She scolded jokingly.
Why, I think I'll just march right over there and ask him to dance. What do you think?
Crystal did not know whether to giggle or to ask her friend to think things through. Falco seemed like the kind of person to breathe fire at you as soon as dance with you. Crystal settled on shrugging.
If you wish. Just don't be too disappointed.
Lucy's laugh was like the tinkling of a bell.
Then let's make things more interesting, shall we?
Lucy Hare did a quick scan of the room before her eyes lit up vigorously.
Alright then. If I can get that Falco Lombardi to dance with me, then you must get Fox McCloud to dance with you.
Crystal's heart did a little somersault. She followed Lucy's gaze to the leader of the Starfox team, who was talking with General Pepper. On any other night, Crystal would have agreed to Lucy's childish challenge more than willingly, since she knew that she had quite a fondness for Fox, and that he seemed to like her as well. But lately, Fox had seemed out of sorts, and Crystal questioned whether she should let him alone with his thoughts tonight. But before she had time to come up with a response, Lucy whispered a
"Wish me luck,"
and practically skipped up to the blue and red falcon, who watched her with a curious gaze. Crystal perked up her ears and widened her eyes, as if heightening her senses. She saw Lucy and Falco talk for a bit, Falco looking like he had something rotten under his nose, and silently worried about Falco's response. Lucy finally walked calmly back to Crystal, who waited with bated breath what the grumpy bird had said to her friend. Alright, that's the end of Chapter 3. Definitely not the most engaging chapter, but it's slowly progressing. Definitely look forward to the next chapter. This one is where things really start to fall into place, and things really start moving in this fanfic, so it's gonna, definitely be pretty intense, so look forward to that. Thanks for watching.